but go out there and really transform what is out there. And that's why we also bring in the latest track, which is Industry 4.0. Next slide. So I thought that it would be good to share with you some of the latest thing that has been published. So in the Straits Times this year on March 30th, you can see that this information was published. 81% of our SUTDs 2020 graduates landed full-time jobs with higher medium starting pay. So this survey, as you can see, our graduates are actually getting higher medium starting pay than their peers from the other universities, like for like comparison. And I think this is good. It means that employers actually treasure our graduates. They like our graduates, and that's why they get higher pay. And it's important that our students are actually hired in all those key industries of Singapore. So communications, information, finance, insurance, and even those doing research like DSO, DSTA, and so on and so forth. Next slide. Now, this is also in the same on the same day, but in today's paper, where it's highlighted there is a crunch. There's a talent crunch always, but in this particular area, we are talking about engineers and product managers, and this is especially relevant for EPD because we are training you guys out there to do product development. And given this crunch, I think EPD can play a very key role here with all our strategic industry partners. Next slide. Okay, as you know, we have 7 tracks. Next slide. So the latest that we have introduced, another click, Nadia. The latest we introduced, the newest is Beyond Industry 4.0. So this year was the first time we ran a mandatory course in this Beyond Industry 4.0. And this is really in response to what the world needs. And I think in Singapore, we are the first to do so. I'm not sure, I don't think the other universities have even started it. But this is where we want to prepare our undergraduates for the world and to transform the world. So next slide. So Beyond Industry 4.0 is basically a combination of all these nice technologies that you see on the left. So we have the domain experts in SUTD, but it's important for us to impart this knowledge to our students and more so at the interface. For instance, how do you apply 3D printing, printing of concrete where you use large robots? Or how do you optimize the process of 3D printing using AI and machine learning? How do you handle all this big data that you see in processes like 3D printing? So it's very important that our students are cognizant of not just individual technology, but also at the interface where the greatest benefits can be derived. Next slide. So this slide is very important because we feel that curriculum by itself will not be impactful. We need 2 other components. One is industry and the other one is partner universities around the world. Students love to go on exchange. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, there's a lot of restriction. We hope that next year, perhaps our students can actually go overseas. So we have partner universities from Europe, from US, and from Asia. And these are the key universities you can see here, where students can then take courses in lieu of those at SUTD. And we have Mayban actually providing an exchange award, means that you can actually get an award from Mayban and then spend maybe a term in Korea or in US. Likewise, we also have prizes given to top students in each of the courses or even across the track. So these are the partners who have given us generously to the students in this Beyond Industry 4.0 track. Next slide. So I want to share very quickly that this year we started the Beyond Industry 4.0 track, and the course that is compulsory for all students is this subject called Industry 4.0 and 3D printing, which I partner with our colleague Hui Ying. So in the part on 3D printing or additive manufacturing, we are very privileged to have James Dyson Foundation giving an additional award for the students to work on a 3D printing project. And this year, the theme was to print a musical instrument. Next slide. So these are the 3 best entries of our students. The top award actually get 2005. It goes to Matthew. So you can see the part that is printed very elaborate. And then out of the good quality of our students' project, James Dyson was very impressed to give an additional 1,000 cash award to our second prize winner, An Yushan. So they've given beyond what they actually promised. So this was very good for the first year. Next year, we will again resume year 2, but the team, of course, will change. And these are all the other nice entries displayed by the students. So actually, the judges from Dyson, they were very impressed with the outputs from the students. All right, I think I've taken more than my time. This should be my last slide. So thank you. Thanks again for partnering us, these industry partners. And I look forward to a very productive panel discussion following Carol's talk sharing from Maybank Corporation. So over to you, Carol.
No, so thank you very much, Prof. Chua. So, for everyone else who has just entered, just a quick, mention. So first and foremost, again, if you have questions, feel free to use the Slido platform to ask your questions. And again, don't hesitate to basically turn on your video. So again, it's my huge privilege today. All right, we are very thankful and grateful for the time that Carol, has been willing to volunteer to share with us to start off and kick off this session and give us a keynote presentation. Right. So over to you, Carol, who is the Deputy Chairperson of Maybank Corporation.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, Professor Chua, SUTD team, students, as well as our panel members. Thank you for the opportunity to give me this time to speak to all of you. What I plan to do is to give you a quick 4 minutes video of Maybank, and then a PowerPoint presentation of some insights of our business and also some of my thoughts. So bear with me as I will play this video and I will voice over it as well. Okay, let me just share screen. Can you see the? So quick one, our vision is enriching life through innovations. Bit of background, Maybank, we are 34 years in the manufacturing in Singapore, our HQ, and we have sites in Malaysia as well as China, 16 sites. And then we are about 300 over million sales revenue and 3,000 workforce. We have a award-winning design team. It's called Designers Hive. And we love our design team. We love to have fun, to create. We think design should be like honey. So the bees are hardworking bees, and we call our team, we have bee titles, but anyway, later I'll share with you more. And basically, design should be like honey, sweet, functional, and medicinal as well. So these are our bee titles of our team, R&D team. So manufacturing can be fun as we design and develop products. So we do mind mapping in our R&D team. We do market metrics, benchmark studies on products, and help our customers to design and develop interesting product in the marketplace. So that's the artistic design, right? Industrial design. We have a team, mechanical, electronics team to put together to help our customer add value in their manufacturing. So some of our design awards that you can see here, 2009 to 2012, we won awards for our customers. And then Maybank is not just R&D, we are also hardcore machining, precision machining, mold making. And you can see here, there's a lot to learn, interesting machining processes. In fact, we also invested we are the first actually in Asia to have this 3D laser printing. So we actually print steel, we build out steels, we print them out, laser welded, and we make molds so that we can injection mold high quality products supply to our customers. And then in terms of the IMT, this is a project that we embark on to do R&D to make our molds smarter, and we can optimize our molding process. And in Maybank in Singapore, you can see also, you can learn if you join us in injection molding process. We talk about not just standard injection molding, we're talking about 2 parting layer, higher productivity molds, lower cost in manufacturing, and to continue to stay relevant in the marketplace. We constantly innovate in our mold making technology. You can see here is our clean room, our factory. Our floors are white. Not all factories are dirty. Actually, in the medical sector, Everything needs to be very clean and polished. And then this is another project that we embark on in our R&D. Our designer come up with 500 different designs, texture, finish, to make our customers' product interesting. So they can just pick from our design and apply it on their products. This is called the innovative Mayban scheme. And we have the technology in the process, the whole solution that we can provide to our customer. And this is something new, innovative fabric technology, where we believe products should be in the future, not just hard plastics, but also integrated with the soft feel. At the same time, Mayban is not just mechanical. We are also into electronics. We have SMT lines. And then that's where we believe the future is about integrating electronics with fabric, with plastics, and develop new products in the marketplace. And of course, most important also, to constantly innovate in terms of automating our factory so that we're consistently relevant and then we can also drive productivity. So basically, our objective is we want our customers to sit back and enjoy the honey that the Mayban team prepares for them. So we believe in we shape your ideas. If a customer has an idea, we can shape it. All right, so that's a quick intro of our business. And then I would like to bear with me another quick PowerPoint presentation to share.
What drama? Oh, that's no, like what drama?
Okay. So a quick presentation on Mayban and our visions, again, is enriching lives through innovation. I wanted to share with you a bit of my background first, and then we'll go into the Mayban, some of the things I would like to share with you all. So I'm a Singapore girl, studied in NUS, and love the country, and love to do a lot more here, and constantly believing in investing in the business back here so that we can create more employment. I'm the Deputy Chairman of Mayban Corporation. I joined Mayban in 1997, 24 years in manufacturing. The start when I joined Mayban, we were about 29 million sales revenue, and today we are about 300 million. So we actually grew more than 10 times. And the workforce started off in 1997 was about 250, and now today we have 3,000 workforce. My interest is in technology, music, and herbs research. And the key values that I've learned over the 20 years is being resilient, never give up, even when things gets challenging. And that's where you see how we grow and how we overcome some of the challenges and become better. At the same time, I think it's very important. I learned over 20 years to be adaptable to change. Technology change every day and how we adapt to it. And constantly innovating. I think that is the key word, to innovate, to stay relevant in this global society. Right? Now, I want to spend a bit of more time to tell you why manufacturing is so important. This small island, this red dot, I feel is important to have that capability, that manufacturing here. So first of all, why? I think being a manufacturing company, we serve the society. We create employment, 3,000 families, and many companies in our supply chain. And that's what we are supporting. And there's really meaning when we say about enriching lives. At the same time, having a manufacturing site gives us a space to invent new products, better quality products, and impact society. In the process, when you're in manufacturing, you learn a lot of hardcore hands-on knowledge. I think Professor Chua just now mentioned about hands-on. It's so important to know how a product is designed and produced, and all the different manufacturing process. And what you will learn in manufacturing when you join a manufacturing company is the problem-solving skills, Constantly, we are always innovating to how to solve many of the small problems and make operations better, or make the product better. We learn about root cause analysis. It's not about seeing a problem, but understanding the root cause of the problem and solving it. In manufacturing, it's all about speed, cycle time, productivity. The team that stay with us for many years learn about time management. They learn about costing, about money, how each component costs. They learn, and if they're interested, they can go into R&D and do research on product design or development. Again, a lot of problem-solving skills. Software and design processes, which is getting more and more important. Many manufacturing processes, from mold making, manufacturing, molding, and molding itself has many, many processes as well. Liquid silicone rubber, thermoplastic, thermoset molding. So much to learn every day. And then now I think it's very important is to look at automation as a system and how to automate it and become even more efficient and compete in the global market. And Mayban, as an essential service, in Singapore, we do a lot of more medical products, and it brings new purpose into our work because we know these products goes into the needs of the medical, the frontliners, and to the patients. And it means more to make good quality products in the marketplace. At the same time, when you're in manufacturing, you are constantly learning how to improve product performance every day. Our customers always ask for value engineering, value add services, and that's why there's so much every day that we are always running for. And most important, in the process of making all these products, we are enriching lives of our employees, our customers, the patients who use our products, as well, and the society. I'll quickly just give you an example. For the recent COVID-19, we are asked to quickly respond to the nasal swab shortage. If Mayban in Singapore did not have the R&D plus the mold making and the manufacturing and the whole downstream sterilization knowledge, clinical trials, we will never have able to reduce the lead time of a product design and production cycle of usually 12 months to 4 months. And then you can tell from here, the slide, design iteration typically takes 1 to 2 months. Refinement of design, prototyping and development. We took 2 weeks. We told our team, let's get our act together. Let's do as much as fast as we can. And we worked with NUS to get this going. And then after that, immediately, once the design is finalized, we go into our tool room in Singapore and we make a 16 cavity tool. So not 1 cavity, 2 cavity. We make 16 because we know the volume is high and the demand is huge. So in-house production, tool making, molding process typically takes 3 to 4 months, but because we have our own in-house capability in Singapore, we did it in 1.5 months. And not only that, beyond just coming out the parts, the finished parts, we have to go through that sterilization validation of the packaging. We have to get the automated packaging machine in, process study of the molding, get through the whole clinical trials, working with the doctors, making sure that this product has a good efficacy when it's in the marketplace. So it took us 2 months instead of 6 months. If you can see this whole cycle, usually takes a year. We did it in 4 months. It's because we continue to invest in Singapore, our manufacturing capability, and our team. Next, future of manufacturing. And I think when I hear Professor Chua talks about the future of manufacturing beyond Industry 4.0, I was like, wow, I wish I can do a second degree in SUTD because there's so much work and effort the school is providing the knowledge to you all. It's a wonderful opportunity to be a student of SUTD. Now I want to share with you, for Mayban, we have been looking at Industry 4.0. In fact, we are the first in Singapore to drive Industry 4.0. And this has been a speech that I speak to my team for more than 5 years. sometimes I just want to just summarize. It's something that we all know. And now SUTD is talking about beyond Industry 4.0. As an industry player, we are, as a leader of the company, I think it's about how we can make sure we do a good execution first. Before you talk about beyond, I always tell my team, focus on the basic and get this right. And achieve the productivity that we envision it to be. And that encompasses really excel in robotics and automation. So the last 2 years, we have invested in automation capabilities. And then we also have built up our data control tower, this data center where we collect all the data, streamline the data so that we can put AI into it, put the machine learning into it, and understand where are the critical parameters of data that we want to monitor and manage, such that the outcome will bring higher productivity to our business so that we can continue to stay relevant in the industry. So why should you join local manufacturing? And I want to encourage all of you, if you're interested in getting, learning how products are designed and developed, how to build your own products in the market and put in the market. This is a good place to start off. Because in my 20 years in Mayban, there is never a down moment to innovate and create. There's satisfaction in creating a product or manufacturing good quality products in the marketplace. At the same time, you will know in the process how important we have to quickly automate some of the mundane jobs and automate some of the machines so that we bring higher productivity. And there's the whole conceptualization and design and trials of all these machines, all the hard work. And when you achieve the results, and there's huge satisfaction in it. And you learn different manufacturing processes, from metal to plastics to rubber. How is it made, what it takes, and what it costs to make it. At the same time, I think grow and learn the team. If you join manufacturing or any product development company, you will learn a lot of lifelong relevant skills. And then also contribute to the local manufacturing scene, put us the red flag, the Singapore flag in the global marketplace. And with passion and the right attitude towards learning, I believe the next generation, this generation, the Gen Z generation, can change the world and make us proud. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol, for sharing with us, what Mayban is about, as well as, your views in terms of what, basically the engineering for the future is going to be in terms of, especially in the manufacturing area. So I think we are going to move on quite quickly to the next part of the session, in the main focus and start of this session, which is the industrial panel discussion. All right. If again, for all participants who's here today, if you have any questions, please feel free to go into Slido, all right, and key in your questions. Just to share with everyone, I'm going to try to basically combine and consolidate the generic questions to be answered during these industrial panel sessions. For the very specific questions to the panel, specific panel companies, right, like AMD or Shell that I've seen, I will see if basically we can try to address them, during this very short session. All right. So Nadia, if you don't mind, would you mind sharing the slide with the industrial panel member information? All right. So, but either ways, today, while we are waiting for that, we are very fortunate to actually have invited basically about 5 different panel members, all right, from different companies representing different sectors here today to share with us, their views about, the industry that they are in, as well as what they think basically the future holds for each of you here, the student members here today. So of course, again, we will have Miss Carol Goh from Mayban, who is the Deputy Chairperson, who will be joining in this panel discussion. We also have Ms. Chen Lan here from AMD, who will again also share with us. Yvonne, a long-term supporter, basically from Dyson. She will be here to share with us her views, as well as Mr. Hari Krishna from Shell and Miss Vanessa from Tan Tock Seng Hospital. All these companies have been, fervent supporters of EPD as well as the SUTD graduates, and have, been actively trying to recruit us. All right. So thanks everyone again today, for spending this time, with us in EPD. We look forward to a fruitful session. Right. So yeah, and as I can see, the panel members are clearly very enthusiastic because they've all turned on their videos. I was just about to ask them to do so. All right, so if you don't mind, for the panel members, if you can, using 2 minutes or so, would you mind, just introducing yourself a little bit, starting according to alphabetical order with Ms. Chen Lan from AMD.
Hi, good afternoon. I guess I'm the first one.
Yes.
Hey, thank you very much for putting this together. It was really great, listening to Prof. Chua and Carol sharing at the beginning of this event. My name is Chen Lan. I come from AMD. I've been working there for 20 years. This is my first and only job since I graduated from NUS EEE. So for those that are just some fun facts about my job, right? For those that are playing console games like PlayStation 5, Xbox, those are the products that is developed by our team. So hopefully you enjoy that. And later on, I may touch that a little bit, to tell you how fun engineering is. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chen Lan. Yvonne, if you could, 2 minutes or so, yeah.
Hi, thank you. Thank you again for EPD. Always very exciting to hear the keynote speaker, and then this year from Mayban, Carol. I mean, we met before, and it's good that the path cross again, because you look at it, the engineering world, this is what it is. And it takes a community to ensure the engineering team are supported, just as how much we come back to SUTD for their students, because they are proven to be very well-rounded, and coming back for interns and graduates. So in that sense, maybe more for myself, it's interesting also that I'm a current student in SUTD at the same time, because it's lifelong learning as we progress that. So I'm an engineer. I'm also teaching in NUS and NTU part-time, more like a guest lecturer. At the same time, a mentor. So I think this is what the beauty of engineering is. We like to get our hands onto everything. And at daytime, my real job with Dyson is I've been here for 7 years, and I'm actually in charge of the Southeast Asia team in Dyson Digital Motor Development mechanically. So I have team in Singapore and Philippines, and I was privileged to start up the Philippine team from zero. So right now, a strong team of 15 engineers. And also the fact that, I'm doing my NSTOP in SUTD right now, which is also a privilege to be here to share with you guys. That it's very exciting to be in this engineering journey, because all in all, since I graduated, and somehow I've been always doing part-time learning at the same time. So I've been working in this engineering field and still loving it after 26 years. So at the same time, I'm also a James Dyson Award panelist. So I also see a lot of strong contestants from SUTD joining, and I do hope to see more of that coming. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Yvonne. And next, Mr. Hari Krishna, would you please basically, share with us a little bit about Shell and yourself? Yes.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, great. Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Hari Krishna Madhuri. I'm the discipline lead for mechanical engineering in Shell, specifically in Shell Jurong Island, which is our chemicals manufacturing plant in Singapore. Shell Jurong Island manufactures chemicals such as ethylene oxide, propylene oxide, monoethylene glycols, which are the basic building blocks for everyday products that you use. So this could be anything from your shampoos to your IKEA furniture to your sofas. I've been with Shell for 10 years now, and I've also had some stints in Malaysia as well as in the United States. My background is that I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, along with a master's in mechanical engineering, with the specialization being in design engineering. Yeah, that's basically an introduction from my side. Looking forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hari Krishna. And next, finally, we have Miss Vanessa from Tan Tock Seng Hospital to help us wrap it up.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa. I'm from Tan Tock Seng Hospital's Management Development Office. So I'm actually a chemical engineer by training. Hi to all my fellow engineers. But I think perhaps I might be the only one on the panel who is not actually practicing engineering at the moment. While I'm an engineer by training, but I'm actually in talent development. So in my current role, I basically support and look after several leadership and talent development programs in Tan Tock Seng Hospital. So I'm happy to share a little bit more later on, maybe during the discussion on how you can be an engineer by training, but you don't have to do engineering. There are many other options as well for engineers. Yeah. So I don't think I need to introduce TTSH. I think everybody knows TTSH. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Thanks a lot. In fact, I was just going to share, one of the reasons why we didn't spend a lot of time introducing each company is, I think many of the participants, in order for them to sign up for this session, they have all went through the website and hopefully have viewed all the different videos from all the different companies, right? So to get an understanding of what they do. Likewise, just to share with all participants, if you are interested in basically having additional queries or understanding the job opportunities or internship requirements, there's an email address on the website where you can click on and basically make these inquiries as well, all right, after this call. So with this, I will move on. I'm going to start with a very generic question first, as people are going on to Slido and voting, for which are the questions that they really want answered. But just on a side note, because it is just an accidental observation, and this is very rare, and I kind of have to make the point. It is rare in a sense that for the first time, I think I went to an engineering panel discussion and it happens to be dominated by females. It was not intentionally done, but somehow or other, it came to this way, this year, right? And I'm very proud of it because it shows an evolution of this industry where, it used to be one that is dominated by males, all right? And, in today's session, amongst the participants, we have first year engineering students as well as final year engineering students. So I think it'd be a good opportunity at this part, at the beginning, for perhaps the different panel members here to share a little bit in terms of how the engineering industry has been evolving, all right? And how the roles of engineers have changed, So Carol, if you don't mind, we'll start with you, since you're the keynote speaker.
Sure. I think in the past, without robotics, you need the strength, right, for the man. I think mechanical engineering, where hardcore mold making, where you have to lift some heavy inserts, those were the days. But now I think with robotics, with CNC programming, and it's just become more softer skills. I think women and men is the same. We can work together. Most important is to able to collaborate and design and develop things together. Yes.
Oh, no problem. So for now, for this session, we will follow the alphabetical order as you see on the screen. All right, later I will go backwards. So Chen Lan, why don't you share a little bit? Yeah.
Sure, I absolutely agree with what Carol has shared. And just to add on a little bit, I think, in AMD, there are a lot of great, I mean, I work in semiconductor, right? AMD is a semiconductor producer. So in this industry, there are lots of success story of women engineers. So in fact, our CEO, Dr. Lisa Su, she is a great example. She was born in Tainan, migrated to USA with her family when she was young, graduated from MIT with PhD degree, very diversified background and experience. And she's really successful now, in the industry and well respected. In addition to her, there are also a lot of other women leaders in AMD that is contributing, equally good as the other gender to the industry. So that is really great. And also to engineering, I don't see that, it must be a man who can do it well, because, it's really fun in engineering. I mean, like in AMD, a lot of us are more than 10 years, 10 years in the company. Sometimes we chat with each other and say, hey, why do we stay here for so long, right? Some, like for me, I stayed here for 20 years. So I think one thing that keeps us going in the same company is that innovation that is, really happening, in a daily manner, monthly manner, yearly manner. So every time we do a new project, there must be something new that we can come up with. And, that process is challenging, but it's very fun. again, because I develop game products, so I will use game as analogy, right? So like when you are playing games, you wouldn't want to just, stay in the same level and playing the same thing. You would like to keep up leveling in the games. So it's that kind of fun, that kind of achievement that you're getting when doing engineering and keep driving for innovation. And of course, the output from engineering is very positive for the world's progress. So that gives you a really meaningful and purposeful outcome. I think that's my view to how fun engineering is.
Cool, great. So Yvonne, maybe you can elaborate a little bit further, about what you think and how it's evolving. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you look at it, sometimes when I give a kind of talk to high school or poly graduates and stuff like that, a lot often on the younger minds, they also thought about it, that does it mean that everybody is going software, everybody is going AI, robotics, mechanical not needed? Just imagine when we come to a day there's no mechanical engineer, what is the effect? You know the answer. But the fact that if you look at it, it's always a strike of a balance. And it's also about working together, cross-functional. And the fact that every single product you touch right now and you see right now involves everything that you can name of in engineering, from software, mechanical, electronics, mechatronics, robotics involved. Even we can't see it, but it's involved to even manufacturing process. So am I right to say that we don't need any more mechanical engineers going forward with AI world? Definitely not. We still need them. And in fact, more of that. But the fact that we need to equip them with understanding about how do we put all this AI together into a mechanical world in the vice versa sense. So it's the same thing as whether is the female taking over the panel, like right now. The fact that will male get ostracized in some sense, we also do not want that, because at the end of the day, we want to be inclusive, we want to be diversified, and we want equal opportunity at the same time. And it's very good that I think Meiji mentioned that this is not on purpose that is selected this way. I think this is the first time I'm coming into a panel with more female, which I felt really good. But at the same time, I felt that this is not something that we are pushing, but rather we want to make sure that everyone that has the right passion and the right skill set will be able to contribute.
Yes.
And that's the same as in the Dyson world as well.
Yep. I couldn't agree further. I would really, say that this time around, it was purely accidental. We approached the companies. These were the representatives given to us. And it was only like literally now that I realized, oh, for the first time, we have one where, in an engineering panel discussion, it just so happens, there were more females in there here. But I think it is really to emphasize that, the industry is changing, is evolving. The nature of work in engineering is also evolving. So today, our special one, basically Mr. Hari Krishna, would you like to comment a little bit in terms of how you think, this field is changing? Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Firstly, I was just going to say that in my introduction as well, the very fact that I'm the only male engineer in this panel should be indicative of how much progress we have actually made in the engineering world. And that's also a nice segue to address this misconception that women and STEM don't go hand in hand. I think that's quite a big misconception. In Shell, some of the best work that I've done with, some of the best engineers that we have are female, and we work very closely with each other and brainstorm and come out with creative solutions to problems as well. So that's really refreshing. And that's, I think, compared to maybe 20, 25 years back, or even 10, 15 years back, things have changed quite dramatically in that sense. So that's at least one way in which the nature of work is evolving. Coming down to the specifics of the role of the engineer, I think personally speaking, in today's day and age, the engineer is also expected to be more entrepreneurial. That's a trend that we see also in Shell as well. You're not only expected to have the technical depth and the technical knowledge for you to do your everyday work, but the expectation is also that you understand a bit of the business side of things. So it's not just about engineering the product, it's also about designing, say, business models or working with marketing to see what sort of products need to be developed, so on and so forth. So I see the role of the engineer also becoming quite entrepreneurial in nature. And I see it in my own work here as well. Within Shell, although we are an energy company and we execute big multi-billion-dollar projects, we are also taking a bit of a leaf out from the technology companies. We are developing quite a few digital products internally. We are using, the agile methodology to carry out sprints on design and development of these products. So things are changing, and industries are also adapting to the way technologies are moving ahead. So my takeaway, at least initially, to get the discussion rolling, is that the engineer of tomorrow is expected not just to be an engineer, but he's also expected to have the necessary soft skills and the business acumen to make him or her entrepreneurial as well.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Mr. Hari Krishna. And finally, Vanessa, would you like to comment a little bit? Yeah, sharing your experience a little bit about how you move, perhaps, from a so-called traditional engineering training to, a very different area in Tan Tock Seng, perhaps.
Right. Actually, I wanted to, before I go into that, I wanted to say that in TTSH, actually, we are 80% female. So seeing a panel like this actually didn't feel very weird to me. But now that I think about, I suppose when I was in school, I had a lot more male classmates than female classmates. But I just want to shout out to all the guys here, okay? We need you, okay? Don't feel left out. Yes, come and join TTSH. We need more manly men. But okay, I think for myself, actually, when I was schooling, I decided, I think in my third year, that I didn't want to do pure engineering work. So for me, it was a personal decision. I wanted to explore other options. And for me, I was lucky, I think, that I chanced upon Tan Tock Seng's Management Associate Program. So actually, I joined TSH through their Management Associate Program. And I thought that the MEP was a great way to enter the industry and learn a little bit more about how healthcare administration, healthcare management works. So that was my journey, more or less. But I think when we talk about how maybe the engineering field has evolved, perhaps, I feel that in today's world, a large need is on soft skills. So even in TTSH in healthcare, right, we talk a lot about relationship building, understanding the customer, being user-centric. And I think some of my fellow panelists mentioned a little bit about this just now, that it's extremely important now, going beyond just the technical skills, being able to build relationships with your customers, with the people that you serve. That's extremely important in today's world. Yeah, so I think that's the thing I wanted to add, to share with everybody. Yeah.
Cool, great. Thanks. So I think for the next few series of questions, I will leave it to the panel members. Since your video is on, you can raise your hand, if you want to, answer these questions directly. So I think align, with how this conversation is going, I think I'm also monitoring the Slido at the same time. So I think we can, proceed to the next phase, right? So a lot of students, currently, they are selecting subjects to take. All right, they are trying to decide which are your technical skills to really focus on and become really good and get hired by the companies here, Shell, Dyson, AMD, and Mayban even, right? Or even TTSH. So I think the questions the students really have, is a burning question, is which hard skill should I equip myself and put on my CV and say that I have that? All right. So anyone would like to, shoot first, and answer this very specific question? Okay, Yvonne, please go ahead.
I would say hard skills are important, and actually I have no doubt about it that you will be able to fit the hard skill for whatever job you're applying. But I think what I'm looking at as a line manager or hirer, I always look at the soft skill. I look at the attitude more than the hard skill, because I apologize if I do offend anyone. Engineering people are too smart. I think even if you don't have the hard skill, you will pick it up. And I will say that because I'm still learning on the job at the same time, and I'm doing my job. And it's, of course, even you talk about, people might say that it's extreme, how can, you don't have mechanical skill, how can you become a mechanical engineer? It's possible, because I have a designer here that is top notch. He has an electronic engineering degree. I have testimony of that. So the fact that is what you want to do, you'll be able to learn it and you'll be able to conquer it easily. But it's more of the attitude that we're looking for, the right attitude that you can take your job, you can complete it, you enjoy it, And that's the key of what it is really. But I know it's difficult to show up in a resume, but I'm sure you'll be able to be creative about it and also make sure that you're outstanding to gain that interview process so that you can wing it.
Cool. Anyone else would like to chime in? Chen Lan, please.
Yeah, hey, so I agree with what Yvonne has said, right? I mean, actually, both hard skills and soft skills are they're equally important. And I would say that, but we also understand that different people have different strengths and interests. So when we look at, especially for fresh grads, right, we don't really expect that, hey, you know everything, but that's not realistic. You know, 20 years ago, that's where we were starting to, right? We just graduate, we know nothing about the in-depth stuff on the domain in the company. So we don't expect you to, you know, come in to directly to just work on stuff. So there will be, and that's what I observe from multiple company, tech company and engineering company as well. There will be training there to help you with. And I think one thing that's really, really important is your learning ability. Because to Yvonne's point, I guess I see a lot of nodding head here too, right? We are all learning. It's a lifelong process. At our stage, we continue to learn a lot of new things every day too. So that learning ability, that open mindset is really, really critical for you to be successful in the career. So, you know, bear that in mind, and then, you know, find your own purpose, find the thing that really can maximize your potential, get into it. And the other thing more probably is really different in working life compared to a school life is that there's no professor there, there's no notes there that will come to you every day, every class to say, hey, do A, B, C, D, E, and then, you know, go for exam. There's no such things. So you need to probably find a way to find teachers around you. So there are a lot of experts, a lot of colleagues. They are your great teachers. Build a connection with them and then learn from them. So hopefully that help you.
Great. Carol, you're next. Yeah.
Okay. So I totally agree with two ladies, Yvonne and Chen Lan. Attitude first. That's usually the key that when we look at interviewing and hiring people. But beyond that, I think since you're in school, I think this is a multidisciplinary period. Means that don't just focus on one area. I think software programming is very important. Build the foundation, you know, Python, I know, or software that is relevant, machine learning. And then the other part is mechanical. Don't just do software. Learn a bit of mechanical. Learn a bit of electronics. And have a multidiscipline subjects when you're in school. And then have the attitude to learn a lot more when you come out to work. Because there's so much specialized areas that you will be learning when you are in the company. And then constantly innovate. And maybe when you say patent IP, design your own, build your own IP, means that you have to come up with new ideas that the world haven't seen it. And if you have that attitude, then you can make it happen.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I fully agree with that. Thanks a lot, Carol. And next, I think we have Mr. Hari Krishna. Could you please, share? Yeah.
I can address how Shell evaluates the graduates, new graduates. But before that, I just wanted to make a couple of points. I think in today's day and age, technology changes at a very rapid pace. And it's really not practical for everybody to be up to date or to have a monopoly on knowledge. So there's no monopoly on knowledge. There's gone are the days where, you know, you had a person and you knew everything. I mean, those days are, I think they're long gone, which is why teamwork, collaboration, brainstorming, these sort of concepts become much more important in today's day and age. So I think engineers firstly need to be adaptable, and they need to be able to be quick learners, as was also mentioned earlier by one of the panelists as well. And the locus of knowledge that you need to have depends on the project as well. So there could be some projects that you undertake in your career where you need really deep technical knowledge. So you may have some of that, and you may need to learn the remainder of it on the go or on the job. And there may be projects where, if you're, for example, introducing a new product into the market, where you may need both technical skills as well as a bit of business skills. So the locus of knowledge that you call upon in your career keeps changing, and so you always need to keep learning. So I'm pretty consistent on that thought process about embodying a learner's mindset. In fact, even in Shell as well, We have this term called as learner's mindset, which is originally from Carol Dweck in Stanford University. And the intent is to always keep learning and to keep pushing the boundaries for ourselves every day. Whereas when it comes to recruitment, again, in line with its philosophy as well, if you look at the way Shell evaluates graduates or the way Shell looks for external hires, they not only focus on the technical skills, but they focus a lot on the soft skills as well, and the attitude especially. So when, for example, 10, 15 years back, 10 years back, when I sat in the Shell graduate program interviewing process, it wasn't technical skills questions that I was asked. It wasn't as if, do you know Ohm's law? Do you know this law, that law, thermodynamics related questions that I was asked. It was more of a case study that was put forth, which had both technical elements as well as some sort of soft skill elements as well as business elements. And then there were sort of questions that I had to answer to basically to gauge what my attitude was and what my thinking process was. So what matters today is for engineers to be adaptable, to be quick learners. But attitude and learner's mindset are two skills that I would say are quite important. And I think I'm pretty sure it's quite important for all the companies out there today.
Yeah, cool. So Vanessa, would you mind sharing a little bit? Because I think I see there's one query about that as well. From the Tan Tock Seng Hospital point of view, what's the role of the engineer there? And what exactly will Tan Tock Seng Hospital be looking for, I guess? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I think we do have engineering specific roles. So in TDSH, we have this department, if you like to call it, called CHIL. CHIL stands for Center for Healthcare Innovation Living Lab, where our design engineers actually work with our clinical colleagues, the nurses, doctors, to look at innovating new products. So we have an in-house designing team. So we do need engineers for that team. We also do have biomedical engineers who basically look after all our medical equipment. Yeah, so those are engineering specific roles. But we also do have many other roles within the hospital where it doesn't matter what your background is. So you can be an engineering background, you can be business background, arts background. So that is in hospital management. Yeah, and I think what we mainly look out for the management roles, right? The first thing really is a desire to serve. So public healthcare is a very meaningful job. We serve, the sick of the community, right? Yeah. So I think to want to join an industry like this, you need to have a certain compassion for your fellow men. And I think that's something that we really do look out for. Something else that's very important, which I also touched on a bit earlier, is also about relationship building. So teamwork, collaboration, those are extremely important skills, which I think my fellow panelists also talked about. I think in today's world, those are extremely important skills that you should have. Yeah. And I'm going to say a bit of Goyo, okay, because I look after the Management Associate Program in TDSH. But I think that, if you are here today and one of the students here today and you're interested in healthcare management, that will definitely encourage you to check out our Healthcare Management Associate Program, because it is a program meant to bring in fresh graduates who don't typically have healthcare industry knowledge. But we put them through the program to groom them, teach them, and expose them to the many different facets of healthcare administration and management so that they can build a career in healthcare. Yeah. So.
Cool, great.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Vanessa. So I think the reason why I keep turning my head is I'm constantly monitoring the Slido questions, right? So the next burning questions coming from the students, all right, is that, as they understand, many of the companies invited here today have actually hired or recruited our SUTD students either as interns or, full-time positions. They would like to know what is that sweet sauce that makes them special. All right. And if there is an opportunity for them to enhance this flavor, to improve that signature, what would that specific area be? Right. So anyone with anything to share? Did I get anything wrong? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so Carol, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to share recently, I think that was a few months ago, we have a few of your interns came into our factory. I want to let you know that I didn't know they were SUTD. I went to the factory, I started to sit down and sitting down with a group of a team member doing some assembly work. And I had some time to just do it and spend some time with them. And I found out, wow, SUTD graduates. And I think the secret sauce to it is they are willing to go right to the ground, just get their hands dirty first, get into the factory, do the first step, and then they realize that it could be a mundane, but beyond the mundane is about finding solutions. If they know that it's boring, let's think of how to get rid of that boring work and make it more interesting. And so what we did was, when we found the SUTD interns in the midst of our factory, we pulled them out and put in the R&D. And then we found really, really exciting to see how the new ideas that came up to solve, even at a young age, without really hardcore technical trainings, they are already coming out solution with our R&D team. So I just wanted to share this experience.
So Carol, Chika here.
Hey.
So those two interns are female?
Yeah, one of them is a female.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to hire the person. So we're already trying to get our R&D guys to say, can we try to...
Yeah, I think one of them is Jean, right?
Do you know? Yes.
It should be lah. Yeah. So I've met also. I understand about Jean, about that. I mean, I can definitely say for sure, you know, our students are very resourceful. In a sense that why I happen to know that is because they were trying to solve the problem. And yes, you know, they actually turned back and they asked the professors as well. It's like, I'm doing my internship, you know, I have this question, you know, can you help me here? And I was like, you know, consultancy fees, you know, if we charge, it's going to cost you a bomb.
NDA, they're not supposed to go out of the company.
No lah, it's okay. No, they didn't ask me specific questions about that. They were asking general stuff, all right? Because it was basically about things they have yet to learn, all right? So they have not taken that class, all right? So they went like, can you share, you know, the materials on the notes, you know, about this thing? So it was something I noticed that they didn't have to wait until they have taken the class to learn about something. You know, I was quietly quite impressed with that part. You know, but instead of me dominating, you know, basically anyone else from the other companies, I understand that, you know, Shell has an additional representative wanting, you know, if you have anything that you would like to share, you know, please turn on your video and of course, you know, go ahead and share. Okay, Yvonne, please go ahead. Yeah. Yvonne, you are on mute, I think.
Yeah, I think also to say that not just a supporter here for this EPD panel session, but it's also the fact that we have constant pool of interns and graduate joining us. Not just my team, but other team in SDC HQ as well. And to be fair, all the feedback that we've gotten are positive, in the sense that maybe other people doesn't like it, but I think EPD students, you come with a questioning mindset. I don't know which course taught you that, but you guys always come with a lot of questions, which I think is very good and important. And I always advocate the fact, even I told my engineers as well, there's no silly question, because any question you ask is not just helping yourself, but it's also helping the audience. At the end of the day, and also the fact that they ask questions with a true passion to solve the problem. Because it's not like when we say silly question, it's not relevant question. They always ask very appropriate questions to get us along, to also even question our people that sometimes when we do this for everyday job, we might have forgotten that, hey, this simple question got us thinking about what we're doing. Can we do something different? And it always gives us this fresh mindset of no burden, I would say, because the fact that sometimes when we do this for too long, we might have taken it for granted. But the beauty of the fresh mind that come in with a fact of learning and contributing, that set you guys apart. And I have this constant effect from all the SUTD interns that has been with me. And of course, I want to have them join me or any other part of the department, because I think it's more about a right fit. Because a lot of time, even when we hire people, if you say interview process is only company selecting you, it's not true. It's both ways. You are selecting us as well. You want to make sure that what you're going into is what you're going to be enjoy. Just imagine you got to spend, whether you like it or not, most of the time looking at us, then your family. So you better make sure it's the right fit and you do enjoy working with your co-workers and what you're doing on a daily basis, most of the time of your life.
Okay. Cool. I cannot agree any further. You know, basically you really end up spending at least, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day, you know, working, you know, and that is basically 1/3 of your life, generally speaking. Okay, I see that Mr. Hari Krishna, you have a question too. Sorry, you would like to chime in? Please go ahead. Yeah.
Let me just chime in as well. I think Shell is a bit new to the SUTD ecosystem, but let me just chime in with what sort of skills we look for in graduates as well, and what sort of roles that are available. Now, firstly, you must be wondering, okay, what's energy behemoth like Shell trying to do, getting into manufacturing and technology? Well, the fact of the matter is, I think technology has left no industry unturned, and the same goes for our industry as well. The energy industry also has a lot of technological innovations and digitalization related initiatives taking place, and there's a lot of churn that's happening within the industry as well. And value chains within the energy space are being upended too. So we do have a lot of roles coming up with regards to data analytics, digitalization, robotics, especially robotics to try and carry out inspection of the hardware that we use in our manufacturing and operating plants. So we do have these sort of unconventional, new age techie sort of roles that are coming in, and a lot of engineers who are being hired within Shell to provide these services as well. Shell also has a lot of activity going on within the AI space, wherein we use machine learning and artificial intelligence to optimize and improve the efficiency of our manufacturing processes. It takes place right here in Shell Jurong Island in Singapore as well. So we do have a lot of technical roles along those lines. And the same roles such as data analytics and digital roles are also available in the commercial space too. And when it comes to Shell, I think most of the characteristics that we look out for in young graduates is more or less the same as what the other panelists have mentioned too. So there are three primary pillars that we look out for. One is the capacity, that is your ability to analyze and develop solutions. That's important. Second is your achievements, your learning ability, your ability to adapt, and your ability to deliver results. And the third is relationship building, which is where the soft skills come in, which is basically your ability to collaborate, to brainstorm, not just to say yes because everybody in the room agrees, but to stand up and say, hey, no, there seems to be something wrong here. Are we sure we are doing the right thing? So these are the sort of traits that we look out for in young engineers as well. And at least one thing I'm glad to hear from the other panelists who have had experience with the SUTD interns is that the SUTD students seem to meet these sort of basic pillars that even Shell looks out for.
Great, thanks a lot, Mr. Hari Krishna. Basically, Ms. Chen Lan, would you like to add in a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to have a quick sharing on my recent interactions with SUTD interns. So I just joined. So usually when our intern finish their internship, right, there will be a presentation session for all of them to get together to share what they have done. And I joined that 1 week ago. All three are SUTD interns. What I'm impressed with is really their problem-solving skills, like the project that they presented in that short 6 months time, 4 months time. Really, they came up with good solution to help us to improve some of the process improvement. That's point number one. And what make it even better is like when we ask the question like, hey, what's your suggestion to the company to make it better? They come up with really great answer. Not only that, they complete their project and then finish the internship, they also have, really think about how could these things be better for the company. I think that's really important because as all of us has mentioned in our past, Q&A just now, that innovation is the key in this, manufacturing, in engineering, and in tech companies. So they're thinking about how to do things better. That is really, really helpful. And that's a lot of employers that's looking for. So please keep that. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So thanks a lot to everyone. Vanessa, do you have anything to add?
Maybe very briefly. I think my fellow panelists have covered pretty much everything. I think maybe we need to add something that I've noticed about the SUTD graduates that we have hired at TDSH so far is that they ask why a lot. Yeah, in a good way, and I think through my interactions with some of my SUTD colleagues, right, they really even get me to question why. And I think that desire to dig further it's something that I think is quite unique to SUT hires, I find. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a strength perhaps of the SUTD's curriculum, injecting that desire to find out and understand, dig to the root cause, of the issue that the SUTD curriculum has inculcated in your students.
Oh, no problem. Thanks. So again, as mentioned, I'm going to be combining some of the questions that is available on Slido. So based on some of the questions that is trending as well, I'm just going to group these part together. So some of the questions are basically asking a lot about career development opportunities, right? So if these students join, say, any of these companies here, Mayban, AMD, Dyson, Shell, or Tan Tock Seng, they would like to know, what are the types of training programs, professional development programs that's available, all right? So if any one of you here is comfortable, you can, get the ball rolling and get started there. So
Yes.
yeah.
Since my hands are still there, forgot to lower it down, I should start to answer this question. And I do have so in AMD, so I touched it a little bit in one of the questions just now. So for technical training, we have a very systematic classroom type of training, and we record it down. So any times that you want to learn a little bit something new, like for example, for me, myself, 3 years ago, when I was just working on a 7nm product. So I can just go into this training system, open up a relevant training conducted by one of my colleagues who are really an expert in that area, and then get their head start there. So we have very well documented and systematic academic training. And in addition to that, usually for a new hire that joins us, we will assign a mentor to the new hire. So that, this mentor doesn't know everything, but then he would help the new hire to say, hey, you know what, you have questions here, right? Then let's try to connect with this person or that team to work out a solution, or maybe find an answer to it. So that piece of learning from your colleagues, learning from teachers around you, that is a really, really important element in work. So I think, that's probably answer the question about training. In terms of career development, we have a hybrid organizations. So in Singapore, I do see some of the questions in Slido asking about IC design. So in Singapore, we do not do IC design. We pretty much cover anything after design. Basically, after design, when the chip, we call it tape out and it go to the fab, that's where we handle it. So we have team that interacts with the foundry, like TSMC. We have team that do product development. That's where my team is coming from. We also have team that specialize in, some specific functions like device analysis, debug, hardware, software development. So basically it's a hybrid organization, for those specific functions, like people that really love to deep dive into a specific domain. You could join those specific function team like hardware development, software development. If you love to do like product development, so in product development, it's pretty much like a cross function team. So we have group of people, a core team with a group of people that carries knowledge from different domains. So we'll pull those knowledge together and deliver it to a product. So if you are a person who want to have a wider view, you could join the product team and to make it happen, like for example, the chips that we deliver to PlayStation 5 and deliver to Xbox to make that happen and launch to the market. So hopefully they answer the question from AMD perspective. And I'm sure there are more better answers from, other companies as well.
Oh, no problem. So Mr. Hari Krishna from Shell, yeah. Sorry, I on mute.
Yeah, let me just split this between myself and Wanting. Maybe first Wanting will go ahead and explain the Shell graduate program and the Shell advanced technical program, and then I'll speak more about the on-the-job development opportunities.
Okay, thanks, Harry. Hi, everyone. Y'all haven't heard from me yet because I am not distinguished enough to be on this panel yet. I am the grad recruiter for Shell, so I have been recruiting graduates for about the past 1.5 years, but I have been with Shell for 4 years so far. So maybe let me just quickly chime in on this question in terms of training and development. I'll cover the graduate space first, at least the first few years of you joining Shell, and then I'll hand it back over to Hari, who will cover a bit more on like job rotations and a bit in the later part of your career development. So I think a couple of things in the grad program in Shell. For technical graduates, it's split into two parts. There's the graduate program, what we call the SGP, and then the technical program after that, what we call the SATP or Shell Advanced Technical Program. So throughout both these programs, which will span anywhere from 5 to 7 years in total, there's actually quite a lot of learning and development opportunities throughout. So in the SGP, I think a couple of things. There's basically the training that you would get as part of the graduate program. Like for example, you will go on this 5-day training course called Shell Life, where you learn stakeholder management skills like holding commitment conversations, for example, and basically similar things like that. So I think it's really about building that foundation, like teamwork, collaboration, all of that. Throughout the role, of course, there's also on-the-job training. So I think that's quite important, and I mean fundamental to probably any role out there, because most of the learning that you would do is probably not just from your textbooks or what you read in books, but on the job. So that would feature quite heavily. I think something to note is that we do have quite a structured competency program in that sense, where you will be compared to this so-called list of competencies. And when you do eventually pass them, whether displaying it on the job or going through additional courses that you do in Shell, that's when you will start to be progressed throughout the Shell grad program and the advanced technical program. Yeah, so maybe Hari, after this, you can cover the job rotations and also just later career development, since you're probably more experienced than me in this.
No worries. Thanks, Wanting, for pitching in on that. Yeah, so as Wanting mentioned, yes, there's indeed a very robust, solidified, and well-oiled machine in terms of early graduate career development. But as you progress in your career as well, you have options within Shell to move around every 4 years. This could mean moving into a technically niche area, say for example, particular aspects of mechanical engineering, or broadening your horizons, which are necessary for you to maybe take up more leadership positions, which could mean taking up more commercial roles or business-facing roles, or even technical leadership sort of roles. So you have the opportunity to move around within Shell. You have the opportunity to move around regions within Shell as well. And what Shell values is what we call as the 80-10-10 structure, where 80% of your development happens on the job. I'm pretty sure this must be the same for all the other companies in the panel as well. 10% happens through networks and collaboration, and the remaining 10% happens through coursework, formal coursework. So you can see as you progress in your career, keeping an eye out for learning on the job becomes extremely important. In fact, I would say it is perhaps the most important thing that you could ask for when you chart out your career as well. So that's the basic structure that Shell has, end to end, really robust, structured early development for the first 5 to 6 years of a career, followed by opportunities to move around and explore new roles within Shell for the remainder of your career. So you can design your career whichever way you would like to.
Great. Thanks a lot.
I've taken up a bit of protracted amount of time, but sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I think we have enough time. Yvonne, would you like to add? Yeah.
Yeah, so more to add in the sense that also we do have courses as well, but really it's on the job training. I guess you have done enough in your academic world after 4 years of undergrad. You might say it's enough. You will really want to be on the job. But at the same time, we do, because we are a very deep tech company, we do have a lot of specialists around, and we do conduct that on a monthly basis. There'll be like a training kind of a website that you can sign up for courses that are taught by our own engineers with their on-the-job kind of experiment as well. How do we industrialize it? And for example, even you talk about aerodynamics, acoustic, the training session will be in our acoustic lab. Of course, now in the pandemic world, we have to have the hybrid version, which is online. But the fact that we do encourage more on the kind of a sharing, because we always believe that as much as you're learning from the instructor is also learning from you. And the fact that SUTD students are very equipped with asking questions, that actually get us to learn more altogether as a class. At the same time as graduate, at least in my team, we're also starting because Dyson is quite young in Singapore in that sense, about 10-year plus old. But the fact in my team here, we do have like 3 departments in that sense for mechanical wise. We do have the performance team, we have the design team, and the verification and analysis team. So our graduates that join us will rotate around the department, like I would say a good 6 months, because as much as we know, it's just like internship. You will need to make sure we have a project title, a project charter itself that you are able to contribute, not just learning. Because it's only when you are in each department, you're able to contribute that you follow the fulfillment to go into the next department. Then from then on, after the whole cycle is over, it's about 1.5 years, you can then decide that which one do you want to specialize in further. So at the end of the day, we look at it, yes, we have development planned, and we also encourage individual to come back to us, not just the graduate, even our full-fledged engineer, to come back to tell us that, hey, there's this seminar or this conference out there that I want to be part of. There's this I want to learn, I want to sign up externally. We encourage that. Of course, there will be we need to understand where is it coming from, is it relevant? That has to be discussed. But at the end of the day, it will be, we will actually put the development plan as a guideline, but we ourselves own the development plan. And we actually, where we want to take it further, is also for us to take it. Yeah.
Industry. Richie or Newton?
Thanks a lot, Yvonne. Sorry, I just realized I'm on mute. Okay.
I thought that I was hung up or what?
No. I was trying to press my unmute button and somehow or other it was not allowing me to do so. Thanks a lot, Yvonne. So now basically whether sorry, Carol or Vanessa, would you like to add anything about the career development opportunities or training opportunities at your respective companies? Maybe Carol first. Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking if I don't raise my hand, will you call me? Okay, if I have a choice, I'd like to put the graduates into this visual of throwing them into the swimming pool and then they swim on their own, if I have a chance, so that they build resilience on their own. And rather than handheld them so hard and structure it, we actually do a lot more on-job training. Depends on the individual. We usually try to size up their interest level first before they join us. Is it in planning, strategic planning, advanced planning, systems, or are they in operation? They really like technical, hardcore engineering, solving problems, or is it in the sales and business development, or even in R&D as well, analytical thinking, product design, creation, inventing. So that initial part of sizing up the individual, asking them, and then once we know that, then we throw them into the water already. And then they start floating. And we see, whether the teachers and the professor done a good job training them to survive in the water. But we find that is the best, because when they are on their own and they struggle and they learn, they become stronger for them. And these are really skills, lifelong skills for them. Again, the focus is their interest level, where their strength is. We try to identify their strength and then put them in the right position in our company. We have students from, whether it's in Polytechnic, and I remember putting in an operation as a supervisor to become a manager, engineer, and one of the best engineer, manager, and then become a director and become one of our key HOD. And he's been with us for like more than 20 years. And there's so much satisfaction when we see a person grow with us in the company.
Cool, no problem. Yeah, so Vanessa, anything to add?
Actually, I note that Hari Krishnan has raised his hand. Do you? Maybe I give my time to him since his hand is raised.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Vanessa. I'll make sure we start with you first next time around so that you get enough time to speak. But just a quick one. I just wanted to add just a very quick point. Let me step out of my company shoes and just make a very generic point. I think one thing which is very important for young students is to realize that at the end of the day, it is they themselves who own their career. Now, nearly all companies, I'm pretty sure, have their own structured development plans. These plans are meant to basically try and understand, the intent of these plans is to try and understand where the interests of the students lie and to channel the interest in a much more effective way. That's the intent of these structured development plans. But at the end of the day, I think what's more important is for students to also do a bit of self-introspection and to really try and understand where their interests lie and what they see themselves doing, say 5 to 10 years from now. So it's also important to have their own development plans and make sure it has a bit of overlap with the company, with the development structure that the company has for them as well. I mean, that's just one generic advice that I would give, setting aside whether I work for Shell or Dyson or whichever other company that is there from my end. Yeah, Vanessa, back to you.
Thanks. So maybe I'll share a little bit about TTSH in terms of training and development. I think TTSH, we have hospital-wide, we have a yearly learning needs analysis exercise, or LNA exercise, where all our staff actually sit down with our reporting officers and we talk a little bit about competency gaps, and we talk about training that we need for the next financial year. So this is for everybody in TTSH. But I think specific maybe for the graduate, for the SUTD students here, with regards to the Management Associate Program that TTSH has, it is a very structured program that we have, 2-year program, where we put our MAs through department rotations. We also give them opportunities to learn from each other, learn from senior members of the institution. We also have opportunities for them to work on projects together. So I think these are all aspects of learning, right? You learn as you do, because you can attend a course, but what's the point of the learning if you don't apply it? So I think the application part of it is very important to us. Yeah. In addition to that, in TTSH, we also have other programs, other talent programs, where we talk about, after you finish the Management Associate Program, what's your next steps? So we do have other management talent programs as well that our MEs can consider if they wish to, accelerate their development or their career progression within TTSH. So these are some of the structural things that we have. But I echo what Hari Krishnan said about, your learning and your development is yours to own. So I think we put all these things in place. But if our MA does not, make use of these opportunities, it's meaningless. If you don't own your own development, it's absolutely meaningless. And there is only so much we can hold the hands of our MAs. You have to walk it yourself. Yeah. So perhaps this is a little bit of advice I can give to the SUTD students here, that you can look at, what sort of training or development opportunities that the organization has, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't do anything about it. Yeah. So that's from me.
Thanks a lot. So on this topic about training and career development options, I hope, we have addressed most of the questions related to that. And now we are reaching, so-called the tail end of this session. Again, for students who still have questions, you can always add in a couple of new questions, just in case, we can add it in before we wrap up the session. So to wrap up, to close the session, all right, there has been quite a number of questions, probably from the graduating group of students, about how to stand out, all right? In fact, they are so concerned that they are going like, what about all these AI-based resume builders? How am I going to beat them so that I can secure an interview, right? What are the key skill sets that I must put in my resume to get selected? Or even like, let's say if I have a professional engineering certificate, will this give me an edge, right? So I suspect many of the students here who's basically going to be looking for a job in about, I would say 6 months time, they are now, preparing and crafting their resumes. And I think likewise, I think we will also have students who will be looking for internship positions in about, I think 3 months time, all right? So they'll be all trying to figure out how to get an edge in order to be selected for the interview, and later how to do well. So any words of wisdom from our panel members here? Anyone, to go ahead first? Let's see.
Maybe I'll start.
Yeah.
Since you want to go alphabetical order initially, right? No, the other way. Yeah. So I start first. Yeah. Okay. I cannot speak for the other companies here today, so I'll speak solely for TTSH. I think in TTSH, something that we really, really value is earlier I mentioned also the desire to serve. So serve your other people basically. And I think that's something that we look out for, that sense of empathy, that sense of compassion. So, I mean, how do you put empathy and compassion in your resume, right? Yeah. So a tip I can give is, what are some activities that perhaps you have participated in that is of that nature? any volunteering experience, things like that, any leadership experience. So those are some of the things that we do look out for. And in addition, of course, things like teamwork, things like, even grades. Grades do matter as well. I think there's been a lot of talk in social media talking about no, grades is not everything. It is true, grades is not everything, but grades is something. I think that is something that we sometimes forget, that you should also still study hard. The cognitive ability is still important, but it should be supplemented with all your other CCA involvement as well. How have you built some of your social skills, your leadership skills, your teamwork skills? Yeah. So that's coming from TTSH.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I think one thing to note, and I think one thing to share, as the panel members are, trying to make a decision on who's next, right? Is that I think amongst our SUTD students, they have a very rich experience in terms of a design portfolio, because they have done a lot of design projects, especially our SUTD students in EPD, right? So some of them, they can have anything between 20 to 30 design projects. I guess the question will be, are there elements in these design projects that our students should be highlighting in their CV, that will give them an edge compared to other applicants, I guess, right? So Mr. Hari Krishna, you're next, yeah. Is there, sorry, Mr. Hari.
Sorry, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, so I have a double speaker, so I need to unmute both of them. Apologies for that.
Yep.
So let me first start with the assist internship opportunities that we have in Shell. Shell has a very structured framework for called as assist internships. These are offered to students, and it's a very rigorous internship assessment, and it includes a formal midterm and a final internship review at the end of that internship. And selected candidates would be given an opportunity to work for Shell. So we do have that sort of a structure where individuals can go through the entire SS internship process. And the way we evaluate interns is based on what I just mentioned: the CAR criteria, the capacity, achievements, and the relationship building criteria as well. So we do have that sort of an opportunity, and I'll just ask wanting to come in later and kind of give a bit more information on the SS internship opportunities. On the resume building side, I can just offer a few generic tips. As you just mentioned, the EPD students do have a very strong design portfolio with them. So I think the resume should be positioned in such a manner that it brings forth the engineering technical skills that they have, as well as other attributes that employers look for. And as I mentioned, and as other panelist members have also mentioned, if you have dealt with scenarios where you would have had to organize a team, or maybe there was some miscommunication in your team and you had to sort that out, scenarios like that, or if you have undergone even scenarios where you have failed, your initial prototype failed and maybe you had to work through that again and come out with a second prototype which was much more successful. I think these sort of things, if you can kind of inbuild into your resume as well, which makes it look more honest, I think that is something that the recruiters can also empathize better with. So yes, so I would say on the general resume side, technical bits, bit of this cover a bit of the soft skill aspects, with a bit of focus on being able to organize things as well as being able to lead teams. I think those two aspects, if you can balance that out in your resume, that'd be good. And maybe you want to just pitch in on the SS internship bit?
Yeah, actually, is it okay if I pitch in more on the resume bit instead? Because I think that's something that as a recruiter, a bit quite familiar with, given the sheer number of resumes that I will look through. I think to your question, right, around how can they make their own resume stand out and how can they show that they have certain skill sets on their resume? I think a key principle for students, right, for you all to follow is to show, not tell. You can state there very clearly that you have like 10 different skills, and you can state like the percentage to which you know the skills, right? Because I think that's quite a common trend now I see in resumes. Like you put like the different languages you know, and you put like 4 out of 5 star understanding. Sure, but it doesn't necessarily always make me believe that you have such a strong command of this particular language. So maybe if I suggest instead, show how all of these skills, how you have applied all of these skills into relevant experience that you have had. And I would say from a very, very generic like resume writing point of view, right? Always follow the same always follow the same framework rather, which is the what, how, and so what. So I'm sure that maybe in school, or even if you just do a quick Google and you see like just generic resume writing advice, they would always tell you to use action words. So stuff like executed, initiated, spearheaded, all of those things, always very important, very good to stick to, and try to avoid weak words like supported, assisted, helped. You know, these things are just don't really command that same amount of, they don't show that you've taken on this amount of responsibility in this particular project. So for example, if you said that you designed something with a certain language, that's a lot clearer than I helped a team do this. So you can see like there's a slight difference, but the nuance makes all the difference. I don't really want to go into too much detail, but I think the what, how, so what framework would probably be quite useful, because once you use the action word and you tell people how you did it in the manner that you completed the task, like you say, like you analyze data from multiple sources, and once you link that to a very clear quantifiable output, then the recruiter, when they see it, they are then able to make that judgment in that sense on, okay, it's very clear now that you have X amount of understanding of this particular skill set, because then there's a very clear what you did, how you did it, and then the result. Yeah, so that's just generic advice from a recruiter, I guess, from that point of view.
Oh, thanks a lot, Wan Ting. And Mr. Hari Krishna, do you have anything to add before I move on to Yvonne?
No, I think that's well summarized by Wan Ting as well.
All right.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, so Yvonne, you are next. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, thank you. I'll say I agree with all what I've said from Vanessa and Hari Krishna, and also Wan Ting, good tips on resume. But at the end of the day, I will say I'll concur with Vanessa as well. Grades matters. If you look at it, you're a student and all your job is to get good grades. If you're disciplined enough to show that you are able to achieve that, it's also a responsibility for yourself. There's also a character we look at. Of course, grade is not everything. If you can explain why you didn't do a good job because you are doing entrepreneurship track, fair enough, but that can be also shown in your resume. At the end of the day, I think when Mei Chin also mentioned about your project work, I think that also calls out about how do you handle projects, how do you lead it, how do you take it into context that you own it. But of course, we do get people that always tell us that they are the leader of the group, everyone is a leader. So then how do you make yourself stand out? In the sense that what is your real contribution? Be very transparent and don't lie. Don't try to, because at the end of the day, you want this to be your career. It's not just a one-time interview, get it through, and then you're going to suffer after that if you're not telling the whole truth, that what you enjoy and what you don't. If there's something like, I think Hari Krishna also mentioned that what you feel, it's also okay to say what you do not like to do, what you feel, because at the end of the day, then you will find the best match. You might not win over the first interviewer, but then the first interviewer can pass you on to another one that might be a better match. So that at the end of the day, you're building your career. It's not just a one-time interview. And it's really not easy to show that in a 1 or 2 pager resume, but don't try to put in 5 or 6 that go into the trash bin for sure. It's about how to be concise and precise, at the same time selling yourself in the right way you want to be sold. And get people to proofread for you. And I think the biggest mistake we make is to have grammar mistake in the resume, because you just imagine that is such an important document. And if you don't take that little effort to make sure it's near perfect, you don't do yourself justice for all the effort you have done. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Yvonne. So next is Chen Lan from AMD.
Yeah, I can't agree more with what Yvonne has said, right? You need to be concise and then don't put 5 to 6 pages. It's really hard for people to digest so much, sometimes information overwhelmed. But one thing I'm just thinking in terms of branding, right? You take yourself as a brand. What do you want people to really know about you? So in that 1-2 pages, or maybe up to 3, maximum. Really find about the unique point, your unique value proposition, because we believe that everybody have different strengths and weaknesses. And what is the unique value proposition that you want people to know about you, like building a brand for yourself? Then put a little bit more highlight to those points, be authentic. It could be like a common project that all of your cohort has done, but then what do you particularly enjoy from that project? What did you particularly do differently about that project? You can probably call out those things to highlight to the recruiters on who you really are, and then what's your real strength, so that you can find the best match to that. Hopefully that will help.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Chen Lan. So Carol, to wrap it up.
And our fellow panel, amazing. I mean, it shared so much. I actually want to say beyond the piece of paper is the interview. I think got to show humanity, humility, as well as passion for the job that you're going for interview. You may not know, but I think there's this excitement of maybe if you want to come to the manufacturing, it's about excitement of working with equipments, machineries, product development, manufacturing. So that excitement has to come from inside out. And the last thing is also, I truly believe in Vanessa, you mentioned about serving, not just in the hospital, in the factory as well. It's about serving the community, your factory, your department, teammates. And we really look for the attitude to serve the and the heart and the passion for it. And that's how we get excited when we found that person during the interview.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Carol. So, that's pretty much about preparing your package, to get yourself selected, and I guess, if you have relevant skills, that you think is going to be useful, please highlight it. But I think I cannot agree more, than what our panel members have shared. I think it would be okay, to just choose a few selected stuff that you're really good at and highlight that, rather than to say that you're good at everything. All right. I think there's a certain understanding that, each of us, have only been educated for so long, and, this is what we are good at. Because I'm also mindful of the time, the precious time that our panel members have shared with us. So, and I was also monitoring Slido. There seems to be not very many more new questions. All right. But I think, before we wrap up and end this panel discussion, if possible, I would like to again go around the panel members here. And perhaps, if each of you, all right, could share either a word of wisdom or some sort of encouragement to this group of very young engineers who's going to be embarking on their careers in about 1 year or so. I think that will help them quite a bit, it motivate them, for some who has yet to decide about whether they are interested in EPD. Hopefully that will motivate them and change their mindsets a little bit about what engineering is about. For those who is going to be stepping out into this new pandemic world, all right, some words of encouragement perhaps, so to basically reassure them a little bit. So I see, Carol is ready to go, right? So Carol, please go ahead. Yeah. Carol, you're on mute.
Yes, I just want to leave the last for the panel. I just wanted to leave you with a message that I carry with me. Always try to make a difference for the better. Whatever you do for the better of the situation now or for the team. And that spirit that involves innovating and doing a lot more than I can describe. And I wish you all the best and look forward to have you all.
Thanks a lot. Chen Lan, please. I think we can follow the alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order, yeah. I volunteer to that.
Yeah. So Chen Lan, please go ahead.
Yeah, so really, I mean, to young students, we all have gone through that. I think finding a job is important, but finding a job that you are really interested in and that you could work for, your career development is the key there. Not just find a job, right? So take a moment to think about what you're good at, what you're interested in, and find your purpose of your life, hopefully, and then then find that match. And don't be afraid to some failures through that process. you know, all of us wouldn't get things first time right. That's just the facts of the life. So what's really important is learn from the mistake, learn from the failure, and then keep moving on and make a difference. Keep pushing for innovation, keep pushing for better. All the best.
Thanks a lot. Yvonne, yeah.
Yep. First of all, thank you for the panelists. At the same time, I think you guys are learning from us, the students. I'm also learning from the panelists and also from Carol with the keynote speech and also from Prof. Chua earlier as well. The fact that we are constantly learning and trying to be improving ourselves in some way. Just remember, whatever you do today might not set just tomorrow. You can always change. There's always a U-turn. There's always a choose again. I'll just leave you with 2 words. Be bold, take risks.
Yes, cannot agree that any further. All right, Mr. Hari Krishna, yeah.
Yeah, so firstly, thanks for having me on this panel. And I think the EPD students are in a great position as they have the skills to build great products, systems, services, and even businesses that can help address societal challenges. So always keep that in mind. But some few takeaways from my end would be, firstly, I think Chenlan mentioned that self-evaluate and introspect and see what really interests you. I think that's really important, because 10 years down the line, you don't want to be doing something that you really don't enjoy anymore. So when you get up in the morning, you need to be energetic. You need to be ready to face the challenges that you see ahead in the day. Be a systems thinker. I know engineering is very deep and technical, but keep an eye out for the broad system. And when I say system, it just doesn't mean an engineering system. It could mean macroeconomic or business related systems. So always keep that in mind. Look at the bigger picture. Be an ecosystem engineer. When I say an ecosystem engineer, again, when you do your engineering design or when you do design products or systems, think of the bigger implications that the thing that you're putting into service may have, and think of the ecosystem related implications that it may have as well. Ties back into the systems thinking mode. Be entrepreneurial and don't be afraid to take any risks. I think the future belongs to the engineers who are entrepreneurial in nature. So be bold, be strong, design a product, but don't be afraid to sell and market your product as well. So I think those would be my closing thoughts, and good luck for the future.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hari Krishna. Next, Vanessa, yeah.
Yes, I think my fellow panelists have said pretty much everything already. Maybe what I can add is that it is okay to not know what you want to do in the future. It is just your first job lah. Yeah, and I think today's panelists, a lot of them have been with their job for many years. But I do think that it is not the norm to be with one job for your entire career. And I suppose this is something that I want to assure the students here today. It is okay to try and realize that maybe not for me, and then try again. Yeah. So I think it's a bit in line with what my fellow panelists said about taking risks, and trying and being okay with failure. But I wouldn't really see it as failure, more of it's a learning experience, right? Yeah, and you continue to grow from that.
Yeah. Yes. Cannot agree any further. Really, I think the panel members here today, have been really great, and basically the words of wisdom are really something to think about, and, I guess introspect is the right word. Definitely, I think this part, to me at least, being in university, one of the best thing is the choice and the option to fail safely. All right, to discover what you like and what you don't like. So when you take a subject, all right, sometimes, besides being interested in perhaps a topic, I think this is also an opportunity for you to discover if that is an area that you actually would want to do, to learn more about as well. Basically learning without penalty lah, in that sense, and do well at it, all right? But it's not going to be a forever thing. So I think, considering the time and everything, again, I would like to thank all panel members. Thanks a lot for your time. It has been a great sharing session. And for all participants, just to let you know, all right, if you have any further queries about job vacancies, internship vacancies, positions that are open, you can go back to the website that you have RSVP'd or signed and registered for this session. All right. For each of the companies represented here, there is an email contact that you can directly email to. All right. If you can inquire about whether there are specific vacancies, for specific job positions. You can also ask generic questions about, when are they going to open, their timing for hiring and stuff like that. That means the roles available. So feel free to continue the conversation with all the various companies that's represented here today. All right. So again, thanks to our panel members, thanks to the faculty, as well as all other participants here today. I think today we actually have one of our biggest number of turn up ever. All right. In the last 3 years that we have started this EPD forum, really happy to see that this is something that is growing. All right. Yeah. So thanks a lot, everyone. Again, let's continue basically with this engagement, and hopefully we'll just grow. Okay. Thanks again, all panel members. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just end the thing.